If you told me in 2010 that probably the best Spider-Man film ever made would be animated and heavily stylized with a great soundtrack, I'd probably have believed you. But if you told me that the main character would be Spider-Man 2099, Gwen Stacy Spider-Woman, and Miles Morales Spider-Man, and only featured a version of Peter Parker as a side character, I'd have said, wait, who is Miles Morales? Because it was 2010. But to a generation of kids now, I think Miles is going to be at least a definitive Spider-Man. And it's going to be very hard to believe that 13 years from now, Across the Spider-Verse will not be looked at as something sort of like a modern-day Empire Strikes Back, for a whole lot of reasons. The hype is real. It was a fantastic movie, and we're going to talk all about it. I'm Dan Upton, and this is the Doomcast. So, first off, do me a favor, hit subscribe and the bell. I make about one of these videos a week. They're all great, so please don't miss even one. Secondly, congrats to Comic Shell winner Jason Krull. I have DM'd you for the details on where to send this, a protective case that can store 2 graded books or multiple bagged and boarded books for easy access and transport to conventions and elsewhere. Thanks very much again, Comic Shell, for sponsoring this episode and giving me one of them as well for conventions. They're very handy. Now, Across the Spider-Verse. Spoilers, and a lot of them do follow, so please save this and then watch that movie first and then come back later if you haven't already seen it. This is your last warning. All right, this movie is more than just a solid ensemble comic film with fan favorites that show up from almost every version of Spider-Man in film, in gaming, in comics, and in TV, but also a deeply talented voice cast and live action cast as well. Yes, live action. Shameik Moore's Miles Morales and Jason Schwartzmann's The Spot are what feel like obvious standouts, but Daniel Kaluuya's Hobie Brown is pitch perfect in a barely intelligible Cockney Spider-Punk. Was probably one of my favorite voices of the entire movie. Visually, this is one of the best animated films in years, hands down. It builds and one-ups the unique, very spectacularly stylized comic and street culture inspired version of the original, with both deeply stunning fights and also visually evocative and very powerful light and color choices for character dialogue, especially the interaction with the Spot and Miguel initially, and Gwen's confrontation with her father, George. And of course the soundtrack with infinitely listenable entries from Metro, 2 Chainz, Lil Wayne, and Nas, to name a few. Anyhow, we dive in with Miles separated from the rest of the Spiders, but acting as his universe's friendly Brooklyn neighborhood Spider-Man when he encounters a goofy but malevolent The Spot, a scientist at Alchemax responsible for bringing the Earth-42 Spider to 1610. That's Miles' universe. And in turn, Miles' damage to the Collider is what created the Spot. Now, after Miles webs him down, Gwen shows up to visit after we get her origin in which she's responsible for the death of her universe's Peter Parker in her original comic book origin, in which Peter turned the Lizard in that universe. It becomes clear that the Spot is able to travel between dimensions and creates anomalies, meaning things that have to be taken care of by an elite force of Spider Society, which seems to include every single Spider person except Miles. Now, Miles struggles with his parents, who still don't know that he is Spider-Man. Miles secretly follows Gwen into the multiverse as they encounter first Spider-Man India, Pavatir Pavakar, and then Spider-Punk. But after preventing disaster with Mbatan's Collider, they're brought to Spider-Man 2099's universe in Nueva York, where it's explained that they've committed a very big no-no in Spider Society, which is preventing anything that is a canon event. Miguel and a growing number of insanely deep-cut cameo Spider people, from Ben Reilly, played by Andy Samberg, to Spectacular Spider-Man, and even Andrew Garfield and Donald Glover as that universe's Aaron Davis. Anyway, the Spiders explain canon events happen in the lives of every Spider and cannot be undone without threatening the continuity of that universe or its cohesion as things start falling apart. At which point Miles realizes so many of them have gathered While they mention the death of a police captain, Miles starts to put it together. His own father being promoted to captain means it's likely that Jefferson Davis is going to die and that they can't prevent it from happening. Miles escapes but is pursued by Miguel, who explains that he's the original anomaly because the Earth-42 spider was meant for another world. They never had a Spider-Man, and Miles Peter Parker died because he became Spider-Man. The painful realization that Gwen betrayed him compels Miles to escape to what he thinks is his home dimension. And Gwen is ejected from Spider Society as well. Hobie Brown quits because Hobie Brown, he is an anti-authoritarian, so he just creates his own bootleg dimensional watch and leaves one with Gwen on Earth 65 after she has a very important conversation with her father. There she discovers her father quit the Force, and this means that he won't die in that canon event. But it doesn't threaten the continuity of her universe, so it compels her to go seek out Miles for a similar solution to his problem. Miles still believes that he's on Earth 1610 until he encounters his dead Uncle Aaron, and is later knocked out by him only to wake up and discover that his uncle is not that universe's Prowler. Miles is that universe's Miles. And in Peter B. Parker's universe, his daughter, Mayday, alerts him to Gwen standing outside in the rain with a dimensional watch. And it's on that cliffhanger to end all cliffhangers and the reveal that the next film comes out in less than a year that film ends. And I've got no gripe with this movie at all. It does solidify some pretty interesting things, plays around with a lot of different comic tropes and some deep cuts. Little Easter eggs that anybody who's paid attention to any Spider-Man comics, especially Dan Slott's run or Insomniac games or anything like that, is going to appreciate a lot. But it also solidifies something else. A lot of people complaining that in the current run of comics, Spider-Man just can't be happy. Peter can't be happy. And this centers around the idea that really no Spider gets to be happy, that those canon events are all tragedies, and that's part of what makes them who they are. But it is encouraging to see a universe with Peter, with Mary Jane, and with Mayday, and I'm hoping that eventually we get there in comics as well. Now, like I said, this film is the opposite of most other superhero film and multiverse movies, and what those have ended up becoming, other than a few noteworthy exceptions, which is just sadly huge content pieces and tentpole event films with very little substance to them. I've heard that the Flash is going to be similarly very good. Not holding out hope. This movie, though, as its predecessors, are out to tell an incredible visual story in a unique and stunning new way. And that is the core of what comic books are, and that should be the core of film as well. And I expect next year's Beyond the Spider-Verse to be no exception. I'm also very, very stoked, as Ryan Christopher Morrison quite deftly predicted, for whatever purple Jordans they come out to commemorate that one, because they really need to reboot that sneakers app. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. I wish you the very best. Hope you enjoyed this movie as much as I did. And I will see you next week. And congrats again to Jason Kroll.